Good Chodesh to everybody. It's Rosh Chodesh Kislev, the first day of the month of Kislev. Very special day. All Rosh Chodesh is special. Rosh Chodesh Kislev is in particularly very special. It's the day, 48 years ago, 40, yep, 48 years ago, that the Rebbe, after having his massive heart attack on Shmini Atzeres, he got well and went home. So the Rebbe is gesund. The Rebbe is well. I was a yeshiva student then, and yes, it was very special, and still is very special. So we continue with our mimer, our Hasidic discourse. So we explained that Yitzchak, Isaac, wanted to give the firstborn blessing to Esav, even though he knew that he was not exactly a holy individual. God's name, God's presence, wasn't really a part of his natural way. But yet he recognized in him that he has an extremely lofty soul. And in order to get those sparks and to refine that lofty soul that has those sparks in it, if he would give him the blessing, then that would bring a refinement to those lofty sparks in his soul, right? But what in fact would have happened is sometimes, great loftiness can get lost in the person, or can, swallow it up in the person, so to speak, that gets lost in them or nullifies them. But they don't integrate that loftiness, which it doesn't become integrated, it doesn't become authentically you. And that's what would happen through the blessings of Yitzchak. But what needed to happen was that Yaakov should get those blessings. So therefore, he does it as Esav, because he has to get Esav's blessing, which is very lofty, in order that he would be the one that would bring refinement to Esav, which on a certain level it did, not complete refinement. That will be, I don't know, maybe get into that later. Not today, but okay. It had to be specifically through Yaakov that Esav would get refined. Right? And indeed, that's what happened in the end when he came and they embraced. And he came unrefined, but in that moment was refined. Right? He came after him, 400 men wanting to do him harm after he was separated over, it was 22 years. But in the end, he embraced him. He even wanted to go together with him afterwards. In the end, Yaakov says, no, time hasn't come for full refinement. Right? Esav is Edom. Edom is Rome. Rome is Western civilization. We're at the cusp of it, though. Okay, now we're going to go into some like really heavy duty stuff over here that I hope I'll be able to give over properly. Meaning, I hope I understand it properly so I can give it over properly. What does this mean? This, lofty, elevated sparks, lights of, that this heavenly light that is able to refine these sparks. So, klipa, shell, that covers over holiness, right, is related to the number 11. Holiness is related to number 10. Why? Because there's 10 divine attributes of God, right? Not 9, not 11. But the other side, the negative side, is related to 11 crowns of unholiness. And that's why the Keteris, the Samamim, the incense that was used in the Holy Temple, were 11 ingredients in order to refine that 11 negative powers of negativity. And this is and the fact that negativity, siter achar, it's called klipa, shell. Siter achar means the other side, meaning there's the side of holiness, and then the other side. It's like no name, right? Because why is it 11? Because it's got the so the vitality that is in holiness becomes integrated, and therefore it becomes part and parcel of that which it integrates. So therefore, it's 10. But in unholiness, it doesn't become integrated, its vitality. Right? It doesn't become integrated. And because it doesn't become integrated, so then there's it and its vitality. Right? So you have the 10 and then it, which is 1. Right? Trying to think of a good metaphor. Well, a good metaphor for, like the vitality that's in my body, right, is integrated. I don't, it's integrated. It's one being. So the 10, being one being, of 10 parts, but yet they're all working together as one being, right? So when something's not integrated, I guess like when you're sick or something, right? So the vitality in you is not integrated in a healthy manner. And that's why, you're failing your head and then the rest of you. So it's like there's the 10 and 1 because, feeling your head or you're feeling your finger that, got hurt. I don't know if it's a good analogy or not. I'm not certain it's a good metaphor. Just trying to bring out that, I guess in a way it is because if you're feeling the pain in your finger, so everything's not integrated in a way that they're just one whole being. You're sensing, this finger that's in pain, separate from the rest of the integrated healthy body. Right? Like a healthy body, you don't feel yourself because it's all the vitality is all integrated in one with you. Again, I just kind of made up that metaphor. I don't know if it's a good one or not. To think about it, it kind of brings out the idea. Okay. The point being, and this is what's important, holiness is that the vitality is integrated and part and parcel of what it's integrating. It's not separate. Right? There's no separateness. So the number 11 relates, right, to the separateness because there's the vitality of 10 that and the thing, right, of what it's giving vitality to. And therefore it's thought, it's one itself. So you got the 10 and the 1. That's 11. Um, Now, it's important to appreciate, that God creates everything I guess balanced, if you will. There's up, there's down. There's right, there's left. There's in, there's out. There's light, there's dark. There's good, there's evil. Right? So you have holiness and the opposite of it, the Sitrafa, the other side. So in this sense, understood, that if you had this concept of 11 in Klippa, right, you also have it in holiness. Because whatever's here has to be there. Whatever is there has to be here. So the 10 you have in the other side, the negative side, because you have the 10, right? But you have it too, so therefore it's not incorporated, right? But you have the 10 there. In other words, for example, my godly soul has 3 Chabad and 7 emotions, 3 parts of intelligence and 7 parts of emotions. Well, on the other side, also has 10. Also has 3 parts of intellect and 7 emotions, right? So this idea of 11, right, meaning that there's something separate from the 10, also has to exist on the holy side, but in a different manner, obviously, right? In other words, the intelligence on the holy side it's, intelligence, if you will, is a tool of the soul. That tool of the soul could be used in a holy fashion. That tool of the soul could be used in sitaracha, in the negative, the other side, in a negative fashion, right? So this idea of 11 also has to be integrated. It has to be there, right? So what does it mean? So the difference is the in the 11 of the negative side, the 10 is the 10 divine attributes of God that are not integrated with the in the negative force, right? Because when because it becomes it's because when the 10 integrates, so you have 10, you don't have 11. So we need something that there's something that it's not integrated and is separate, but they're separate below the line and separate above the line, right? Two ways you can go separate. So when we speak about 11, right, the 10 and 1, being there's a separate here, there's also, right? And that what is that? That's the idea. And when we speak about 10, well, there's something that's one, that God's one, uh, uh, you're one, and not an account. Not one, and then for two or three or four, one leads to a count. No, 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 no. You're one beyond the count, right? So the difference over here being, in other words, there's the aspect of God that he's not 10, not 10 attributes of God. And that is or ain't safe. Atmos, the core essence of God, who's one, but really without count, beyond count, right? Like we have the 10 that is not integrated, therefore it's this there's what that's beyond it, and beyond, not above, beyond, below, right? Here you have the 10, and that which is beyond it, that's not integrated in it, which is one. And we're going to have to elaborate more on this, but it's Rosh Chodesh, and I hope we got some idea of it. Well, continue. So we're going to have a longer davening because there's Torah reading at Musaf. Um, well, so we probably won't do Chumash or Rashi. Maybe if we're lucky, I hope